Hey guys, let me know what you think by liking and commenting, and it really helps me and this channel out when you subscribe, so please click that button. Thanks a bunch.
If you remember, recently I've acquired two misery-inducing steam engines. The first here is this really small tank locomotive made by Brava, and the next one was this tender locomotive made by Pico. Both of these came with smoke units that were supposed to work, but neither of them did. The Brava's issue was that I guess what would be the stack of the smoke unit had collapsed down into the smoke unit body, and therefore it wasn't able to actually get over the lip of the actual smokestack. Works fine when you pull the smokestack off, but once I put the smokestack on, it's not a blown unit, so there's just no pressure. So the smoke just kind of sits down in there and doesn't go anywhere. So that was problem number one. The Pico, on the other hand, sort of worked intermittently. I don't think it's a blown unit either, but it's supposed to produce more smoke when it's under load. So if I cranked it all the way up, it kind of spat smoke out once in a while, but that's it. And I can't diagnose it since it's brand new. I'm not going to even bugger with it. I'll send it back for repairs and we'll see what comes of that. In order to make myself less miserable and give myself a nice Christmas present, I purchased this Broadway Limited Paragon for Reading T1 that is dressed up in the original American Freedom Train livery that they used before they sort of changed it to the one that we see it now. I thought this would be great. I have an entire Burlington Northern Diesel set, and I also have, of course, the ubiquitous Bachmann American Freedom Train that was derived from the Southern Pacific semi-streamlined locomotive. So I thought, hey, this will be great. And certainly, as a Christmas present, it won't cause me any misery. It should bring me some joy. But in fact, it brought me misery. And it seems that Paragon 4 locomotives are bringing a lot of other people misery as well. I certainly think the locomotive looks really nice. It's plastic. It doesn't have a die-cast boiler or shell, but it still looks pretty nice. And it has all the features that I want, including a smoke unit. And Paragon 3 had a lot of problems with their electronics, and Paragon 4 was supposed to take care of that. This isn't the first time I've had problems with Broadway Limited locomotives. In fact, last Christmas I bought myself two of them. One was a Baltimore and Ohio Heavy Pacific. I sent it back because it just died. The pickups weren't working right. But I also bought myself this Chesapeake and Ohio Chunker L1, and I really liked the way it looked. But the first one I got, actually, the smoke unit never really worked, never worked properly. Also, the smoke stack was actually detached, and it was just floating free. It actually completely broken off. So I sent it back, and they sent me a brand new one. So had two BLIs. One I sent back for a refund, and one of them I sent back because the smoke unit never worked and the smokestack was broken. Then I got a new one back, so I'm on my second one of these Chesapeake and Ohio L1s, and it worked fine. In fact, you can see it running here, but if you notice, there is smoke coming out from the underside of the boiler. But boy, I like the way it looked. I didn't really notice that to begin with, and I was just happy to have it running here with my Broadway Limited Dreyfus, which I bought used, but I never had any problems with it. I thought, boy, these things look really, really nice running together. I love it. I mean, look at how stately that is. I mean, that's wonderful. It's just the epitome of American streamlined excellence. I love it, and I can't get enough of it. But just moments after taking this video with the replacement L1, it actually died too, and I just managed to capture the exact moment that it died. And as it was coming around the turn on my upper commuter deck, what you'll see it, the light will actually go off, and it stops dead in its tracks. And what was happening was the smoke was actually pouring out underneath sort of the boiler, and it was getting all over the internal components, and it shorted it out. There it goes. You can see it. It just shorted everything out. So I actually had to send this one back to Broadway Limited. They repaired it and sent it back to me, and thus far it hasn't caused any problems. Then again, I haven't run it a super ton, but it hasn't caused any more problems. So hopefully that one will be good to go from now on. All right, well, back to this. If you look on the internet, particularly forums dedicated to Broadway Limited, there are no ends of complaints from people who are having problems with the electronics of these things, particularly the steam locomotives. And a lot of people have had problems with the smoke units. Looks like the articulated locomotives are having a lot of problems too, although the Challenger, the Rio Grande Challenger I have, hasn't caused me any problems really so far either. So the one defect I noticed from the American Freedom train is that the headlight lens had popped out. That's about it. There was one more small piece that popped off, and I couldn't figure out where it went to, but otherwise it looked like it arrived in good shape, and I was really, really looking forward to running it. And, you know, you can go ahead and take a look at it here. You can decide if this is something you want or not, but not to belabor this for too long. What eventually happened was the smoke unit died in fantastic fashion in this particular locomotive. Now, when I'm running in a locomotive, I have a tendency to turn the smoke off. I run it for a little while with smoke just to kind of see what it looks like. It looked neat. I thought the puffing action was actually slightly better. Maybe they didn't change anything in that sense here, but looked like everything was working well. So I turned it off. And one of the things I don't like about Broadway Limited is that the smoke defaults to on. I believe, for a lot of reasons, that the smoke should default to off when you power up your track. But nope, not Broadway Limited. It powers on with the locomotive, and I just don't think that's the greatest idea. But either way it does, and you use F7 to turn it off. At least in theory, if you have F7 on, the smoke will turn off, whereas I would much rather have F7 be on to turn the smoke unit on. That's how every other manufacturer makes theirs, and I don't know why Broadway Limited defaults to smoke on. It's just kind of bizarre to me. All right, to make a long story short, when I turned it off with F7, it turned off for a little while, but then it just sort of magically turned on again. And I noticed it smoking when it was coming down my street, but I didn't think much of it. I just sort of didn't know what was going on. I was test running it, so I actually briefly turned F7 off, which will turn the smoke unit on, and then hit F7 again, which should have theoretically turned it off once again. But I was videotaping it, so I had time to reach over, hit F7 again, and here is the video that I captured. Okay, well, the first thing that you should notice is that smoke is once again coming from underneath the body. The next thing that you should notice is that the smoke heating element inside the smokestack is glowing incredibly brightly. It's actually glowing so brightly, it's starting to illuminate the smoke. And no, you may be asking, doesn't it normally do that? No, it is definitely not normally that bright. It is definitely getting a lot of voltage pumped into it right now. And I mean, look at it. It's almost like the sun's trying to pop through the clouds or something like that. So as soon as I noticed that, actually, I put my hand onto the emergency stop that cuts track power off, and that's what happens. This thing comes to a halt pretty quickly, and here's the aftermath. Firstly, you can see that it's still smoking. It'll continue to smoke, but if you notice, yes, the boiler started to melt. That's how hot the heating element got. It started to actually indent the boiler because it started to deform it so much from the heat it was giving off. So at this point, I'm wondering what the model railroad gods have against me. I don't know what I did. I'm trying to promote the hobby as best I can, But I looked, and I am definitely not the only person having this exact same problem. Mr. Conrad here had the same bad luck I did. Look at this. It looks gooey and chewy. Yeah, it definitely doesn't look good. This poor guy's boiler didn't melt. It just cracked. I mean, look at that massive crack in it. It's just, it's unbelievable. This poor owner's deformation is much smaller. It's difficult to see, but yes, this is also deformed thanks to that same overheating element. So I'm not the only person. I don't know what's going on, but I just think it's terrible and unnecessary. I mean, why are smoke units just so bad? Why have I had 3 lemons in a row? I mean, look at this. This smoke unit works great. This is a Chinese model made by Charming Models, and man, this thing really cranks out the smoke, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, I don't know what to do about this. I appreciate that Broadway Limited tries to make these locomotives, particularly since these aren't going to be the most popular ones, but I don't know why they can't get their smoke units right. It doesn't make any sense. Broadway Limited has to be aware of this, right? I mean, they read the internet. I'm sure they go on to kind of see how everything's going with the public. Also, they get these things back. So, why is it so difficult for them to design a system that works and works well and reliably, especially when it's turned off? Shouldn't be any kind of power going to it when you turn it off. Never had any other locomotives that smoke when I tell them not to smoke. And I don't mean by using the hard switch, I mean by using a soft function key switch. And for goodness sakes, Broadway Limited, make it so that your smoke units start off, for crying out loud. When I just posted about this, just to warn people, because, it still smells like burnt plastic down in my basement. And, if that's got really bad, there's a potential for fire, right? There's the potential for something really going wrong here. And invariably, when people have a problem with smoke units, a lot of the times people say things like, that's why I leave the smoke off. I never use the smoke units on any of my logos. Well, I appreciate that. A lot of people don't like smoke. They don't want smoke for whatever reason. I like it. And the thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to pay a certain amount of money just to have to turn some features off, or else it'll burn my house down. That doesn't make any sense at all. Fine. If you don't want to use it, great. But for those of us who do want to use this feature, shouldn't have to worry about it melting or doing anything that's just bizarre like that. My life isn't a total crap fest. I have purchased one model recently that does have working smoke, and that's a Markland Insider model, which is a steam locomotive actually that's still running, and I'm looking forward to making a video for you about this. I mean, look at those driving wheels. They're huge. It's an awesome steam locomotive. So I don't know what to think about this. I've had a bad luck, bad run here of smoke units, and I just kind of don't know what's going on. In fact, I've had more locomotives go bad on me. It's not just ones with smoke units. They're articulated Pico, electric, the Roco Czech rail bus that just can't seem to get around the track. Just lots of issues lately. So I don't know. It's easy to get disheartened, I guess. I think Mr. Rainier here has a point. If we stop buying their products and force them to make things better, and then we'll start buying once they do. I suppose that's a way of handling it. Problem if we stop buying Broadway Limited products, maybe they'll go out of business and won't make anything more at all. And of course, maybe that's fate. They're forced to compete, just like any other company. If they can't come out with a competitive product that will last and will bring us hours of joy without burning down our basements, maybe that's just what needs to happen. All right, that's about all I've got for you today. It's actually, I'm finishing this up on early Christmas morning. It's it's 2:35 actually. So everyone, Merry Christmas if you celebrate this holiday. I certainly do, and I enjoy it, even though ironically the 3 locomotives I've purchased for myself as Christmas presents have all gone back. They've all had defects with them. Ah, well, you know, um, certainly it's not the point of this season. It's just getting to the point where it's just such a shady irony in my life. I'm not quite sure what to do about it. My general purpose for making these videos is not to get ranty or not to tear into any particular product or any person or anything. So I'm not going to do too many of these, but I'm just very frustrated at this point. But I am thankful that I get to enjoy model railroading as a whole, and I'm thankful to be around everybody in this wonderful community. So, once again, if you want to help me out, so just let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments if you had problems with BLI products, if you had really good luck with them. What might be your solution? Do they need to hire better engineers? I don't know. I'm looking for your take. Also, it really helps me out when you click the like and subscribe buttons, particularly the subscribe buttons. Helps spread and promote this channel, and I would love to reach out to more people and continue to promote this hobby. So, once again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Festivus, enjoy your turducken, whatever you got going on today. Yeah, have fun, be with friends and family if at all possible, and if you're unable to, I'll send you my love as a model railroader and the love I feel for trains. I will push that off onto you for this day. So take care, and I will talk to you next time.